Previously on Batman.
This is how I'll always remember you. Surrounded by winter, forever young, forever beautiful. Rest well, my love. The monster who took you from me will soon learn that revenge is a dish best served cold.
And now let's show off that Netflix money. All right, I'm back, ready for part three of History of Power Rangers Dino Fury. Apologies if I'm not completely clean shaven, and my hair is, well, like this. And also you're probably going to hear some landscapers in the background. You know how those can be loud. But doesn't matter, we're going to, no pun intended, power on through. Last we left off, I believe, we were just about to begin, Lewis was about to begin talking about Season 2 of Dino Fury, which was the first season to be made primarily for Netflix. It's not going to, they were done making the show for Nickelodeon. It was now from Netflix then on. So, let's see how they utilize that sweet old Netflix money.
Properly move into Season 2 with the episode Numero Uno. Amelia is filling in for Jane at Buzz Bulma while she's away doing a hot air balloon show. So Amelia was like second in command this whole time. And honestly, it feels like she's doing a better job running the place than Jane was, since she's actually doing her job instead of going around doing comedic subplots with J-Borg. Otherwise, Ollie's mom is working at a research institute in Japan, while Zedd and Ion try to locate Rafkon after 65 million years of stellar drift. At Area 62, Slither and Mucus work on breaking into the secret chamber, Mucus deciding to do her best Miley Cyrus impression. However, they're soon contacted by Void Knight at the base's computer screens, who tells them he needs them to obtain something from the Rangers. A monster attacks the Rangers and manages to steal a key that can be used to repair things. With it, he repairs his armor and resumes his quest to collect Sporix. In Missing Pieces, Solon is able to identify Rafkon's 3 sons, the coordinates they need to use the portal to it, and Zato heads there to try to find his homeworld. He's unable to locate the planet, but he does find a transmitter beacon that's sending out what seems to be the same signal they had received in the first season. However, Ollie figures out that they're not the same message, but rather separate parts of a single transmission. When played together, the message is heavily garbled, but they do make out the words, "To those who survived," and Rafkon. As part of our Zord count, they soon recover the Packy Smash Zords in Tiny Trouble, wherein we learn 2 bizarre things. One, that Zords can actually reproduce, and that apparently Rafkon had the concept of boxing, since they use a bunch of boxing-related stuff with the Smash Zords added to the Megazord. More importantly, at the end of the episode...
Also, I gotta admit, the CG work done on the little Packy Zord is actually pretty good. For like a small, for like a kids show made in New Zealand for Netflix, and for the budget that they had, it actually looked pretty good. Again, you can definitely tell that like they were starting to have a little more money because of Netflix, just a little bit more. Whatever, just keep going.
Void Knight finally recovers enough Sporix to power his machine, which is able to restore Centaura. In the next episode, Stitched Up, we learn that Void Knight's real name is Tarek, as he helps Centaura recover. He's apparently been preparing a ship this whole time, and it's almost ready for them to leave Earth, a subject that makes Centaura uncomfortable since she didn't realize they were still on Earth at all. While he keeps Centaura's existence a secret from his minions, he does tell them he's working on a device that will jam the Zords. At the end, we learn that they were involved in some kind of accident, Centaura thinking that he should be seeking revenge against humanity for what happened to them, but Void Knight is only interested in leaving the planet with her. In the next episode, Jam Session, Void Knight explains to her that he's keeping her and his appearance a secret because his minions only respect strength. If they sense any kind of weakness, they'll turn on him. Not sure how accurate that entirely is. The robots under his command should, be programmed to obey him, and Mucus is, kind of goofy. Oh yeah, and there's also another general that got built near the end of Season 1, Wreckmate, who was seemingly destroyed there, but then came back in Season 2, but hasn't done anything of note. He talks like a pirate. Anyway, the Zord Jammer is deployed, but they end up destroying it thanks to the addition of a new Zord. the Terra Freeze Zord. While everyone else was out though, Centaura redirects the Sporix energy into her stasis chamber, using it to transform herself into a monster. She now calls herself Void Queen. Between episodes, she apparently introduces herself to the other minions and starts utilizing the Sporix they've gathered to send new monsters out, though Void Knight objects. He doesn't actually want to hurt humans, they were just collateral damage. But she's hell-bent on hurting people. He goes with a Sporix beast to a pool where the monster turns people into trees. When he spots a child that's been transformed, he's horrified by all this. He shows Centaura the spaceship, which is now ready to go. Now, to be fair, Void Knight, that thing did look like a pile of junk. Probably would have exploded on the launch pad. She blasts him away, and he realizes that he needs to stop her, informing the Rangers of how to stop the monster of the week, and then goes on the run. We continue on in serious business. While Void Queen starts working on a secondary project, Void Knight evades his former minions to try to figure out what to do next. As part of the subplot involving a child hacking Buzzmoddy, he realizes that he needs to join the Rangers in defending the city. The Rangers are only willing to accept the idea he could change if he recovers the Sporix that he originally stole. In The Hunt, we learn that the secret project Void Queen was working on is another general, who is destroyed in the same episode.
Yeah.
Huh. Anyway, Void Knight warns the Rangers about the new robot and a bit of his backstory. How Centaura was injured in an accident and why he stole the Sporix. Zedd was unwilling to work with him given all the harm he's caused, plus the fact that he was willing to do all this just to save one person's life. Still, he comes around when Void Knight frees the Rangers from being captured by the robot. Void Knight was injured from the battle, and it's revealed that his armor and whatnot comes from the Dino Knight Morpher and Key, which he found long ago and adapted for his own use. He surrenders them to Zedd, who uses them to activate the Dino Knight armor, basically the battleizer for the...
Also, hopefully it'll show more of it as we go on, but Void Knight's civilian mode, or I guess like him without the armor, he just kind of looks like, and like the way he's dressed, he just kind of looks like George Michael. Hey, you know, I can dig it.
The season, and it's slick as hell. Now as Tarek, Void Knight tells the Rangers he has so much more to explain.
See? George Michael.
Hello, dear.
No!
Well, I guess there are still 13 more episodes. We need some time for exposition. In the next episode, Loser Weepers, she locks him up in her old stasis cryotube, though he's still conscious and alive. I'm just wondering how he poops in there. Anyway, to defeat a powerful monster, they have to form the Primal Ultrazord, the configuration that resulted in the rest of Zedd's team dying. Apparently it's unstable, which is why it went kabloom when they used it. Fortunately, with millions of years of hindsight and Ollie's technical know-how, they figure out a way to keep it from blowing itself up like last time. In the next episode, Void Queen begins using the stasis chamber in the same way she used it on herself, having the Sporix energy transform Tarek.
I am Void King!
Naturally, it's brainwashed him as well, so now he
Honestly,
serves her
kind of a
loyally.
downgrade.
Anyway, we come to Ultimate Mystery, where Buzz Barnaby is doing a story about Area 62, interviewing Pop Pop because he was a janitor there. He denies anything
Love
supernatural about it, and Amelia gets sidetracked with news about a Bigfoot sighting. You know, standard filler episode material, nothing to...
We're expecting a call from General Shaw.
Wait, the head of Grid Battle Force?
Okay, so, I apparently thought I had talked about this in the Beast Morphers video, but, I evidently did not. I did mention speculation about what universe it took place in, but I never really came to a final conclusion about it in the video.
Yeah.
The thing is, I did ultimately decide that it was not the main Rangers universe, that it was its own thing. I'll get into that more in a bit, but starting from the assumption that Beast Morphers took place in its own universe, I'm not going to question how Dino Fury knows about Grid Battle Force. Obviously, the database Mick had should include meeting Rangers from other universes. It's just weird that we're getting what should be the annual crossover episode, and it starts out with a plot about Bigfoot.
There's been a jailbreak at one of our facilities. Many villains have escaped.
She warns them that one may be headed their way, and I'm just... What? See, with the presence of Zedd and the knowledge of his existence among both heroes and villains alike, that made me think that Dino Fury was supposed to be set in the main universe. But they talk about Grid Battle Force and Coral Harbor as if they were in the same universe as them. When I did my Twitter thread, everyone said that was pretty definitive that Beast Morphers took place in the main universe, but that doesn't make sense to me. The Beast Morphers Earth wouldn't need access to Ranger tech from other universes if they were from the main universe. Jason had to come to them via interdimensional portal. Before you say, well, why couldn't it just have been a regular portal? Well, why would Devin have to risk his life to put out a call via the morphing grid to get help from other universes if there were active Ranger teams running around in their own universe? This is an official organization with military backing, and they couldn't call Lightspeed Rescue for help? Or the Wind Ninja Academy? After all, if they're in the main universe and have access to all that Ranger tech given to them, it means they are in contact with these teams. If Beast Morphers is its own universe, then contacting other universes is difficult, as we saw with their attempts to contact the RPM universe. But if they're in the main universe, it would be really easy to get help. Hell, if it's the main universe, why are there no Ranger veterans that work at Grid Battle Force? Wouldn't you want the most qualified, experienced people with knowledge of the morphing grid working on your big project to tap it for power? And that's another thing. Grid Battle Force wasn't just responsible for their own Rangers. They were behind Morphex Power in general, a project that had international cooperation and participation unprecedented in the show's history. And I have to imagine that after Evox was destroyed, the other governments would not be so keen as to stop using Morphex like America was for some reason. Yet we will never see it again. Now, you could argue that at the very least, Beast Morphers and Dino Fury take place in their own universe together. Not impossible. But then why is Mick running around a complete other universe hunting the Ninja Nexus Prism? Did it jump universes at some point? I admit, there is nothing explicitly said in Beast Morphers that they were in a separate universe from the main one. But the way everything is framed in that series, the way they talk about past villains, the Rangers failing to recognize the putties with Ryjack, the technology of accessing the morphing grid, the lack of connection to other past teams, the way the suits look different from all other Ranger teams, just everything about it screams, this takes place in a different universe than everything we've seen before, and these are their first Power Rangers. And furthermore, even if we assume that Dino Fury and Beast Morphers take place in the same universe, how does Shaw know how to contact them? They've never met before. Both teams operate with their secret identities. Sure, with the resources of Grid Battle Force, they probably could figure it out, much like how Lightspeed knew who the Wild Force Rangers were, but you'd think we'd have seen some kind of message between them before now.
I mean, my guess is maybe Mick somehow met the folks at Grid Battle Force and kind of gave them their info. Maybe. I'm guessing Mick was kind of like the linking factor between them. At least that's just my guess.
Some exchange of resources and tech. Bring the Dino Fury Rangers under a local division of Grid Battle Force or something. Just, like, Beast Morphers being in the main universe opens up more questions than it answers, and this episode throws all that out a window. Anyway, as if on cue, the escaped monster arrives and attacks.
I'm no Sporix. I am Luthorn, nephew to Lokar, the terrible wizard.
I was kidding! I mean, I just fully expect at this point with the obscure Mighty Morphin stuff coming in that we're gonna learn that Jane is actually the daughter of Principal Kaplan or something. Anyway, If you like that they reference Lokar, the giant hand wizard thing that Rita called for help twice and was, like the Morphin Masters, so inconsequential I never mentioned them in the original Season 1 video.
Oh, he did mention that. Yeah, that was a Mighty Morphin villain, yeah. Yeah, he did mention that. I didn't catch that before. Huh. What do I know?
Despite the cameo from Shaw, this isn't really a team-up episode. Apparently, because of the pandemic, we did not get a proper team-up episode for Dino Fury. It's likely that Shaw knowing who the Dino Fury Rangers are and all that is the remnants of what would have been a team-up, something we can imagine happened off-screen. And hey, I suppose we can assume that, like, the monster just jumped dimensions and they were able to detect that. After all, Scrozzle was able to hop to the RPM Earth and all. We can say this isn't really from the same universe.
Coral Harbor's close, but there's no way that brute just randomly decided to attack us.
Maybe he means it's close interdimensionally? Ugh.
Anyway,
Mr. Pointy says that his master instructed him to attack the statues at Dinohenge, that it would cut off the Rangers' connection to the grid. After they destroy him, Ollie finally asks Amelia why she cares so much about cryptids and the like. She explains that her parents were supposedly killed in a fire, but all the evidence around it is uncertain, and Pop doesn't like to talk about details. Thus, she's drawn to bizarre mysteries like that, hoping that solving ghosts or something would help her figure out what happened to them. Later, though, at a debriefing with General Shaw, she reveals that they were able to recapture all their prisoners, save for one, Scrozzle.
Intel says you've already met the mastermind behind it all.
Not him.
Lord Zedd?
Good dramatic ending hook for the episode. But if Beast Morphers takes place in the main universe, why is she treating the return of Lord Zedd, the guy who terrorized and attacked Earth for a few years, as if he's only significant to the Dino Fury Rangers who recently encountered him? Why isn't she putting out an all-points bulletin to every Ranger team on Earth to warn them? Why not send another message through the morphing grid, especially to the Mighty Morphin team, who we know are active because of the team-up episode last season? If they were in their own universe, they might know about Zedd, but more in the context of the past and his recent encounter with the Dino Fury Rangers, not really understanding how big a deal this is, versus the very big threat posed by his return, since remember, the Rangers never actually beat him! In the next episode, Zedd returns to Area 62. There's been a noticeable change in his voice. It's still not Robert Axelrod quality.
Yeah, he does make some good points. Not gonna lie, he does make some good points there. I feel like it's only gonna get even more muddled. Having seen, the rest of Dino Fury, and having seen Cosmic Fury, and Once and Always, these questions are gonna end up coming up even more, probably. But more on that when we get there.
Quality, but it's higher pitched and there's more of a distortion in it.
I was in the neighborhood and thought you might like to meet my new servants.
Said new servants are his General Scissoreye and, of course, Scrozzle.
Evox was nothing compared to you.
Scrozzle.
But, don't tell him I said that.
Yeah, much as I love Zedd, Venjix did have a higher body count, Scrozzle. Zedd wants help in destroying the Rangers, agreeing to split the Earth in half between their forces. Zedd had Scrozzle retrieve his staff from the Crystal Dimension and Beast Morphers, I guess they just left all that stuff there after Venjix was destroyed, and plans to have him construct an army of robots. Void King likes the idea, suggesting they take the general robots he had made before and creating enhanced versions of them. Using mind control on Ollie, he retrieves the two parts of the Rafkon message. It seems Zedd encountered a third part while he was traveling the galaxy after last season. When combined, the message gives Rafkon's coordinates for any survivors, saying they moved it to allow it to heal from all the damage done to it. Zedd proceeds to take Boom Blaster, a rebuilt boom tower, and heads off to the planet. After healing Ollie from the mind control, he remembers everything and informs the others of all this. This leads us into Rafkon Revealed. With the coordinates, the Rangers open a portal to Rafkon, Ion confident he'll defeat Zedd based on what the Morphin Master said to him when he was brought out of stasis. However, once they arrive, they find the planet deserted. It's no longer a wasteland, but there are no life form readings. Zedd and his forces are already there. It seems he's searching for the original generator that created the Sporks, hoping to use it to create his new army. We get some good pathos from Zato as he reminisces about the city that used to stand in the valley they're in, but Ion reminds him of the job they have to do. The generator was plugged into Rafkon.
I love that scene, and I've actually, it's funny, I saw that scene shared a bit on Twitter saying, oh man, Power Rangers has more money now. Can you believe it? And granted, it's mostly drone stuff, but yeah, no, you can definitely, there is a definitive, at least for me anyway, I could tell there was a very distinct difference between how things looked this season to, say, how things looked like 5 years prior to it. So, at least just from my vantage point.
Rafkon's core. If it was damaged or destroyed, the planet would have gone up with it, so it must be functional. Though that does make me tilt my head who thought it was a good idea to plug in the dangerous experimental device to the core of the planet. The Rangers head to where the generator should be accessible, but it turns out that's what Zedd wanted, leading him right to it. And man, you'd think after 65 million years of plant growth and geological upset that there'd be more than just a few shrubs on top of the control console. With Zedd's minions distracting the Rangers, he's able to activate the generator. Ion and Zato try to attack, but it doesn't go well.
Here's an idea for you, Red. Why don't you do what the rest of your people did? And go extinct!
Zedd blasts at our heroes, but they're suddenly saved by a protective shield and are transported back to Earth. Zato is severely injured, more so than Solon can help with, but their savior soon arrives, the Green Morphin Master. This leads us into our next episode, Morphin Master.
Oh, here we go.
She heals Zato and explains that they were unable to stop Zedd on Rafkon because they lacked the arsenal for the job, revealing to them the Dino Master Saber.
It's extremely powerful, and the armor it unlocks can protect you.
Isn't it nice to have a Deus Ex Machina in your corner?
But anyone who uses this to destroy their enemy will also be destroyed.
Well, that's a really terrible design flaw. Take it back and fix it. What the hell else you people doing all day if that's the best you can do? Well, it seems there might be a reason for the rush job on that. The Blue Morphin Master arrives and explains that Green here is actually breaking their laws. Shortly after the Great Sporix War 65 million years ago, they began to realize that with each Power Ranger team they created, the amount of evil that grew in response multiplied. The risk to the morphing grid became too much, and they took a vow of non-interference so they could focus on protecting the grid. She's broken that and has to be sentenced to imprisonment in a crystal for all eternity. Zato intervenes, and this turns out to be a stealth clip show, retconning in the Morphin Masters into playing a larger part not only in this season, but the entire franchise. It was the Green Morphin Master who sent the Tyrannosaurus coin to Devon in Beast Morphers, who saved Steel and turned him into a human. Also, further confirmation of Beast Morphers and Dino Fury being in the same universe, as Izzy points out that Steel is the star of her favorite show, Fugitive, but I can write that off as they're just being the same person in both universes, much like how there's a Jungle Karma Pizza both in the main universe and the RPM universe. Yes, I know it's a stretch, but damn it, everything that happened in Beast Morphers really seemed to point to it being its own universe, and saying it was the main universe just feels wrong, dang it. But anyway, yeah, Green has actually been responsible for a lot of nonsensical stuff that happened before. The legendary battle and the other Rangers showing up and disappearing in balls of light. That was her! It's not said out loud, but the implication seems to be that she brought Robo Knight back too. Now, bear in mind, this doesn't suddenly make the season and all that good. It wasn't the intention of the creators at the time, and doesn't suddenly make Megaforce a good series because one stupid thing got retconned. But it's a nice nod and acknowledgement of mistakes made and an attempt to backfill them. Sometimes a Band-Aid is appreciated even if it doesn't fix a lot. And I will always appreciate a show where the people making it are trying to put forth their best effort rather than ones that clearly don't give a crap. Mind you, apparently some of the fandom has disliked this because it implies that the series has always had a great big green safety net watching over them. A Deus Ex Machina just waiting around to remove all the tension. I don't know if I necessarily agree. It's clear she didn't do everything, and there likely were moments when she couldn't get involved without getting noticed by the other masters. But still, maybe she saved Kendricks. Maybe she's why the space-time continuum has stopped punching itself in the stomach over in the Dino Charge universe. And we'll have to see in the future if this ever gets addressed, or if there will be other ass pulls that we can ascribe to the Green Morphin Master. Speaking of, the Rangers say they'll defend her from Blue, but she...
I mean, there kind of will be. Kinda. More on that when we get there.
She says they need to deal with Zedd, teleporting them back to Rafkon. She then flees from Blue before he can imprison her. Unfortunately, they're too late to stop Zedd. He teleports away with the generator. And as said, without the generator plugged into the planet, geological instability quickly makes the planet go boom.
It was safe for 65 million years. But one day with Zedd and it's all rubble.
Zato nearly died. He got reminded that his family and friends are all dead, his people are missing, and now his planet blew up.
All in all, today's been a bit of a bummer, hasn't it, sir?
Zedd brings the generator to Earth. The Void family shows up, pissed at a seeming betrayal by Zedd, but he covers it up by claiming that Sprazzle built the generator to make more Sporix.
And that's not quite shut up and slink away.
Our heroes show up to stop him, of course. Ion uses the saber and activates Dino Master Mode, giving him a spiffy cape and collar. I dig it. They force everyone but Zedd to retreat as he sets up a force field around the generator. Ion is ready to sacrifice himself to break through the shield, but the Green Morphin Master returns and destroys it for him. She and Zedd have a beam struggle, allowing for Ion to jump in and slice Zedd. With him distracted, she blows the generator to hell. However, she can't destroy Zedd directly, instead locking herself and him inside a crystal.
It's Zedd and Master Green?
Oh no, she turned them into collectibles! The Red and Blue Morphin Masters show up and they explain what happened, realizing just how boned both the Rangers and Earth would have been.
I believe those, I follow Simon Bennett, who was the showrunner for Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury, and I believe he had that crystal statue with the miniaturized Green Morphin Master and Lord Zedd on his on one of his shelves. So that's neat.
Without her intervention. They elect to set things right by freeing her from the crystal. They also take Zedd to secure him on a faraway planet. Green explains that Ion's prophecy of stopping Zedd was fulfilled by his action, but that he didn't have to do it alone. In turn, Zato asks about their people, and she says their fate will be discovered by them in time. And I'm sure we'll never see Zedd again. Of course we're gonna see him again. In the next episode, Wishful Thinking, Amelia makes a wish via a monster's spell to see her parents again. But despite everyone else who was cursed by it getting their wishes, hers doesn't happen. Or does it? In Things Unspoken, Void Queen begins planning her endgame, stealing the keys to a drilling device that the park wardens have been using to build a new drainage system. Once they gain control of it in the episode Bad Vibes, they program it to drill into the command henge. Once there, Void King blasts Solon and steals the Sporix they have in stasis, leading into the three-part finale, beginning with The Invasion. So it turns out International Electromatics was actually being used by the Cybermen as a front for their force to occupy the London sewers. Fortunately, the Second Doctor has teamed up with the newly formed United Nations Intelligence, and I mixed up my notes again. Doctor Who and Power Rangers need to stop having the same episode titles. The Rangers help Solon up.
Our shields were no match for that drill.
Then your shields really suck, Solon, if a human-made drill can penetrate them. However, things take a sudden turn when an alien ship arrives over Dino Henge, containing Rafkonians. Zato confirms with his tactile telepathy that they're the real deal. Their leader, Aurea, explains that the remaining survivors of Rafkon hid the planet and left to become scavengers while the planet healed.
Hoping to return to Rafkon when the
I like
time
the
is
blue
right.
streak there.
Yeah, it's a real shame that nobody knows where it is. Well, if I say we forget about Rafkon and not assume it's a big pile of debris now. They ignored Zato's messages because it seemed so unlikely that a 65 million year old knight could still be alive. However, after Rafkon's destruction, they decided to follow up on the messages and see for themselves. Aurea privately suggests that they could bring the Rafkonians to Earth. Problem is, she's not convinced that humanity would welcome them, what with all the wars and pollution and traffic accidents. As such, they intend to invade and conquer Earth. Naturally, Zato and Ion refuse and say that colonizing and conquest aren't honorable, but the decision has already been made. Meanwhile, with all the Sporix finally in her possession, Void Queen releases them all out into Pine Ridge. That was her master plan. I mean, it's not the worst. It just seems like she could have just released the dozen or so they had all at once and had the same effect. Still, with the risk of the Sporix ravaging Earth the same way they did Rafkon, Aurea agrees to a truce with the Rangers.
We'll battle side by side. But after we defeat the Sporix.
I guess we'll see.
While the city begins evacuating the entire population, the Rangers and Rafkonians begin engaging the Sporix army. However, some of them get called away by Void Queen.
Oh, why does Wreckmate get cannons? I want cannons!
Bitches love cannons!
We soon learn that she plans to destroy the hydroelectric dam that powers the city and flood the town to kill all the humans, which feels like it didn't really require the Sporix army to accomplish. During the fight, Aurea sees several examples of selflessness in humanity, including Pop actually stepping in to defend her from the Sporix. When he gets blasted away, Amelia reveals herself to him. With his injuries, she takes him back to Solon.
The man just saved me.
You still want to take us home?
She's more amenable to the idea of living in peace with them, even having her forces help the evacuation. At the command henge, Pop's injuries are severe and he suspects he may not survive, so he tells Amelia the truth about her parents. Back when he worked at Area 62, there was a couple of aliens who were there, trapped after an accident. The couple had a baby, and that baby was Amelia. This leads us into the next part. the truth. As she demands to know more, she touches his arm and sees visions of the act.
I think that's probably a good place to stop it, at least for right now. You know what? No, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. The next part.
Accident. The alien couple giving the baby to him to take her to safety and making him promise to keep her safe. When she emerges from the vision, antennae grow from her head. As the other Rangers meet up with her, Pop-Pop explains that if there's any more information about her parents, they'd be in the files at the ruins of Area 62. Assuming the files survived at all. However, we've still got that whole Sporix invasion thing going on. As such, the Rangers return to the fight, while Void Queen heads over to Buzz Begonia's to interrupt their evacuation livestream, and then use some of the destroyed Sporix globs to form a cocoon around herself. Some destroyed Sporix are summoned to the cocoon. Yukis reveals to the Rangers that Void Queen is inside of it, but when she accidentally touches it, she gets absorbed as well. The sheer power of it is more than the Rangers can handle, so they call Ollie's mom up to try to figure out what's up. She theorizes that the cocoon, whenever it hatches, is going to release a massive energy blast that will destroy everything in a 30-mile radius. The people will be safe thanks to the evacuation, and the command center's shields should protect them. Dubious, as I said, given the whole drill thing. But the city's going to be wiped out. They have about an hour before it goes critical, and the Royal Smart people get to work trying to figure out a way to either move it or siphon the energy away. What's more, Area 62 would also be destroyed. Since this may be her only chance to get answers, Amelia heads there on her own, while the others resume the fight against the Sporix. Pop-Pop even lets her see where a safe is with the files. Said safe apparently being stored on some random cart near the janitors. God, Area 62 was really mismanaged. She's intercepted by Slither, who damages her morpher so she can't escape. In the process, revealing that Area 62 is their base. Fortunately, Solon detects her morpher's damage and informs the others, who come to the rescue. They give her a new morpher and search the base, both for the files and anything that can stop the cocoon. Amelia finds the safe, but the files are gone. They're attacked by Void King, but Amelia tackles him and reads his mind by accident, revealing that Tarek and Santara are her parents. Rafkonians who crashed on Earth looking for supplies to scavenge. The government, being the government, imprisoned the two, but whatever the accident was, it kept them from escaping. The two survived the explosion, Santara injured, but believed that the baby didn't survive the blast. Santara blaming humanity for this, as Tarek put her in stasis to keep her alive. He then constructed the power system for it and discovered the Dino Knight morpher and key, thus becoming Void Knight. And he decided to hide his antennae for some reason. Go figure. The telepathy goes both ways, so Void King discovers who Amelia is. Somehow this releases him of his hatred, and he's freed from the brainwashing, reverting back to Tarek. However, the happy reunion is interrupted by Solon, who informs them that the cocoon will blow any minute now, but the evacuation is being slowed by gridlock. This leads us into our finale, the Nemesis. Bringing Tarek back to the command henge, they work on the theory that if the revelation about Amelia cured him, it might allow Void Queen to let go of her hatred too.
I think that's where we'll end for now. But yeah, no, I kind of, let's face it, given the way that when Pop was telling Amelia the truth about what happened to her parents, the way that was filmed, yeah, it was kind of obvious. And also, like, could they not find a way to, like, hide Tarek's voice at all? Or at least distort it a little bit? I don't know. Just to make it a little less obvious that, yeah, you know, Tarek and his wife are Amelia's parents. Like, to make that less obvious, but whatever. It is what it is. Alright, like I said, I think that's a good place to leave it off for right now. Come back next time for part 4, where hopefully we'll finally wrap this whole thing up. I just keep tripping on my words, don't I? Oh well. Till next time, I'm Marc Aquino. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Get cannons? I want cannons!
Let the record show that I, Marcos Francisco Aquino III, fully endorse all lesbians getting their own personal canons of warfare. And for those asking why, the real question you should be asking is, why shouldn't they? Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Marc Aquino YouTube channel.